got it bumping.
Welcome back to the channel and thank you for tuning in. Today we're just going to be covering Sony's acquisition of Bungie that finally went through. Sony officially acquires Bungie, and with that, Sony, I think they're trying to accelerate basically their way into going into live service games. The ink is dried and the deal is closed. Sony officially owns legendary developer Bungie. The acquisition, worth a reported $3.6 billion, will see the Halo creator return its independence and accelerate its vision to create generation-spanning entertainment. A statement said, "Bungie begins our journey to become a global multimedia entertainment company." As part of the purchase, Bungie will help Sony to establish a live service center of excellence, as predicted, which will improve upon the platform holder's knowledge base as it looks to release at least 10 live service games. The developer, meanwhile, will continue to nurture the uber-popular Destiny 2, while also taking bold steps into unexplored spaces for Bungie. And it's worth reiterating that the company will continue to create multi-format games despite its integration adjacent to PlayStation studios within the Sony Interactive Entertainment umbrella. That's a point that the studio was eager to hammer home now that the acquisition is complete. And they further went on to say, "Our games will continue to be where our community is, wherever they choose to play." And in addition to working closely with various other first-party teams like Naughty Dog, Sony Santa Monica, Bungie's first steps within Sony will be to recruit aggressively as it looks to expand upon its already sizable team. It mentions all new worlds beyond Destiny 2. So it clearly has multiple new projects in the pipeline. And personally, my own reactions, I do have mixed reactions to this. And I did see a lot of mixed reactions online, a lot of celebrating, some people not too keen on it. And understandably, because I think ultimately it's going to be a win-win scenario. Because although Bungie's known for a lot of multiplayer games and mainly live service games, I don't think this will in any way slow down Sony's initiative to keep pushing mainly story-driven single-player games as the forefront of their first-party exclusive. But it sort of allows them to diversify and add some of those live service games, which would still have normally been on the PlayStation Store as third-party games. And ultimately, it depends on how they're doing it. Because when the industry, we would say EA and Xbox back in 2016 were chasing the live service multiplayer, releasing games like Anthem, Crucible, New Worlds, Hyperscape, and so on. PlayStation and Nintendo released Horizon and Zelda, and they did numbers with those single-player games. And then on top of it, Elden Ring recently also showing that there's public for those type of games. Now EA is walking back a little bit after some of their multiplayers failed. Xbox is trying to have some single-player games, so they're also hoovering up studios. And PlayStation, in my views, is just trying to expand that portfolio while maintaining their mainline single-player games and new IPs. And after all, based on the data that they've got from PlayStation, most of their revenue comes from their own customers buying DLCs and microtransactions on third-party content, where they already have to share 70% with other publishers. So yeah, it's been a busy month for Sony's corporate lawyers, with the company also closing the deal to buy Haven Studios, which was last week, I think, as well. And I think the Haven acquisition will actually turn out to be bigger than the Bungie acquisition. Not in terms of like the games or value or that sort of thing, but in terms of like the quality of the games that we may potentially get from Haven Studios. I'm more excited about that. But I do play a lot more single player games than my multiplayer games are mainly Rainbow Six Siege and like sports games, FIFA, NBA, that sort of thing. Nothing too fancy. And this massively expands the size and scale of Sony Interactive, with the firm indication that it's not finished on the acquisition front. So I think we will see a couple more studio acquisitions. I hope to see a lot of more single player studio acquisitions, because like me, I enjoy the story driven games. I do enjoy multiplayer as well, but I still think the single player games being Sony's main initiative is what sort of has kept me on PlayStation over the years growing up. Even though, like I said, I enjoy everything. I don't actually have a preference in terms of console. I actually think the Xbox is a better console than the PlayStation, but I'll always be PlayStation through and through because I prefer a lot of PlayStation's games more than the Xbox games. And then you just get a PC. I always get a combination of the PC and a PlayStation, and then you can enjoy what Xbox has to offer through your PC. But yeah, what do you guys think of these developments? Do you think the Bungie acquisition will be good. What sort of games do you think we're going to get for them? Are we going to see them sort of pivot, or are they just going to keep pushing their live service games? And again, with live service games, we know how it ends up being, like riddled with microtransactions and loot boxes and all sorts of things. But at least knowing that they're under the Sony umbrella, that should sort of keep them in check, so it won't get too reckless. But yeah, let me know in the comments below. Thank you again for tuning in. Hope you'll have a good rest of your week. Peace out.